Hi, this is John Rosenhead, Jerusalem psychotherapist. This week's Torah and Psychology post, Pashas Chukat, is going to discuss self-confidence. And we're going to look at this and analyze it based on the events of Mei River, of how Moshe Rabbeinu brought forth water from the rock by hitting it as opposed to speaking to it. And Rashi explains that the sin, at least of Moshe Rabbeinu, was that he didn't follow instructions, that he was supposed to speak to the rock, whereas he hit the rock. And Rashi goes on to explain that when Moshe Rabbeinu tried to speak to the rock was hidden. The rock hid itself, and therefore Moshe spoke to the wrong rock. Whereas when he wanted to hit the rock appeared, made itself available, and was there to be hit, and therefore water came out. So this seems to be a technical explanation, perhaps explaining why water was able to come forth when he hit the rock, because the right rock was available. But if we look at it from a psychological perspective, there's something in the movement and the behavior, we could say, of the rock that reflects Moshe Rabbeinu's level of self-confidence and how he perceived the situation. It's not just a reality or a technical explanation of whether the rock was available or not, but that when Moshe Rabbeinu spoke to the rock, he didn't see, or he viewed the situation as being that the rock was hidden, whereas when he wanted to hit the rock, he viewed it as being available. And how is this? This relates to self-confidence, because self-confidence is a way a person perceives a situation, because they're able to recognize their talents and their abilities, and how this can impact and influence a situation. So you can have two people who are in exactly the same situation, one with high level of self-confidence and one with a low level of self-confidence. And what will happen is usually the person with high level of self-confidence will be successful, and the person with low level of self-confidence will fail. And why is that? It's because they are able to recognize and understand that they have the talents and the abilities to influence and impact on the situation, and it's how they perceive the situation, therefore, that they understand that they can make a difference, they can be successful, and they can bring about the desired result or the desired goal. Whereas a person with low level of self-confidence just sees a difficulty, and they see a stumbling block, and they see that their options, that there's perhaps no options available to them, that they're set up to fail. And this we can see in Moshe Rabbeinu, that based on the Mefarshim, he certainly believed in the Kadosh Baruch Hu's ability to perform miracles, and that whether it was speaking to the rock or hitting the rock, there's still a miracle of the water coming out from the water coming out from the rock. So it's not a doubt that Moshe Rabbeinu doubted the Kadosh Baruch Hu, but perhaps he doubted himself, and that he was more confident in his own ability to perform the instructions of a Kadosh Baruch Hu, to perform the miracle through hitting the rock. As the Ramban says, both hitting the rock and speaking to the rock were both viable options. They were both a miracle, and they were both legitimate options. But perhaps the sin of Moshe Rabbeinu was attributing the ability to bring about the miracle to himself. There was certain self-attribution that he could make a difference, but where was the difference that he could make? Where could he impact on the situation? It was through hitting the rock rather than through speaking. He had a higher level of self-confidence in hitting the rock as opposed to speaking to the rock. So therefore the explanation of Rashi of how the rock was hidden when Moshe Rabbeinu tried speaking to the rock, and whereas the rock was available when he tried hitting the rock, is actually a reflection of Moshe Rabbeinu's level of self-confidence. It's actually a reflection of how Moshe Rabbeinu viewed the situation. When speaking to the rock, he viewed the rock as being hidden. It was not there, it was not available. He could not make a difference, he could not impact on the situation. Whereas when he wanted to hit the rock, he had a high level of self-confidence, and self-belief. That the rock was there was available, it was there in front of him, and if he hit the rock, the water would come out. So therefore, it's not necessarily about following instructions, or which was the correct way, or that the miracle was supposed to be through speaking as opposed to hitting, but rather Moshe Rabbeinu believed in his ability to perform the miracles through hitting the rock, and this was based on a level of self-confidence and self-belief, and that is how a person is able to impact on a situation and bring about a result. In this case, he was bringing about that the water would come out of the rock through hitting it as opposed to speaking to it. Have a great showers and keep well.